Hello everyone, it's Saturday morning and this post is all about the last week of the class. Where we've been and most importantly getting ready for the final things in the last week. Alright, we have posted in the in the syllabus and help form, some things that are coming up this week. Now, it's a little different because the first line here is read the modules, get a sense of what needs to be done. Are things that obviously have to be done in the remaining modules. But instead of listing those here, what I'm asking you to do is at least scan through all those modules to see what's going to be happening in those modules for the rest of the week so you can balance that work with the critical analysis and group paper. Now, the modules are significantly different than they've been in the past. Total, between all three upcoming modules, there's only 2 discussion boards. One is more of an answer a question discussion board, kind of like the intro exit tickets, and the other involves some discussion with your group members. That one is still a more limited focus of discussion between your group members than some of the past ones. So the total amount of forum discussions in the final modules is much less than it's been. There's also no new discussion boards this week, and no new quizzes this week. So obviously that's because we have the last critical analysis paper and the group paper to work on, and that's going to be the main work this last week. Alright, so the critical analysis paper I don't think I need to say a lot about. You've already done one, so you know what that's like. The second one is on quantitative research. There's now a link to the Dropbox there, and that is due on Tuesday. Alright, I do want to talk about the group paper and final group presentation. A couple things on that. First is it's due on Saturday. Might think it's Friday, but it's actually due on Saturday, so I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse, but you should know that's the date. And the second thing is it's a little bit of a different kind of assignment than you're used to. And so to really get your head around it, the best thing to do is to look at examples from the past. And under the assignment examples widget, do have 4 different examples on here. So we have posted only good examples. We wouldn't post a bad example to confuse you. So these give you a good idea not only of the format, the length, and also what makes for good content for these types of papers. And what we're really looking for in these papers is good compare and contrast between what different group members found. So a lot of this course has been about critiquing individual studies. But just because one study, let's say the accelerated reader study, was not very good, just because that study is bad doesn't mean that all the research on accelerated reader is bad. What you'd have to do is look at all the research and start to compare and contrast and see what the main findings are and see how strong the research overall is in that area. We do go study by study when thinking about quality. But we don't learn our lessons from individual studies. We learn our lessons from a whole range of studies and the strength of the whole field. So that's what this last assignment is about. And you have to compare and contrast with your group members to do that. All right, you could be comparing and contrasting asynchronously, where you're working on your Google Docs at different times, or preferably synchronously, because that's when you're really going to clarify, and I think the best learning that you're going to get in this course is going to be going back and forth with your group members about, well, this study is good because of this, and it's different from your study because of that, and then, well, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? That's the kind of conversation we really hope you have this week with your group members. Alright, hey, look at that, 3 unread discussion messages. I'm doing good. Alright, there's also a group presentation where your group gets together and talks about the process that you went through, some of your findings in your research, etc. Look at the group presentation to see about that. Now, with this group presentation, each person is supposed to verbally present for at least 1 minute. That's one of the requirements. There's 2 ways that Tiffany and I are suggesting that you could do this. The first way is to use an on-air Google Hangout. For those of you who haven't done it yet, it allows you to record your Google Hangout and then post it on YouTube, and then you could provide us with that link. So you could kind of do a little pre-planning of your conversation, record it, and then go ahead and record it live, and that would be your final presentation. Second is you could do a brain shark. Now the way you would do this is create a common PowerPoint, divide up who's going to present which slide, load it up to BrainShark, share a common username and password, and then at different times go in and narrate your slides. And in that way, you'd create a group presentation. Both ways would be great. If there's a group that has another new way of doing collaborative presentation on the web, that would be fine, but those are two ways that we've already gotten some experience with. All right, the main advice for the last week is plan ahead. It is very doable, especially because a lot of the work for the group paper has already taken place. You've got all your sources. You've analyzed two of them in depth already for your critical analysis paper, so you could use those two as two of your three. If not those two, you've probably analyzed articles in your data collection participants. You've done all the analysis. Now you got to do the synthesis. And that's very doable if you plan ahead with your group. But because it requires coordination with other people and some advanced thinking, the best advice for the last week is look at everything that has to happen, make your plan individually and as a group, and then you'll have a very successful final product. Tiffany and I are really looking forward to those final papers and especially the final presentations and the last week of the class.